This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave. Hey everyone, it's me, Kanohii. Today we're here with a review that should have come out last week. But I did not have time because Metroid Dread. I was just too tired, man. I really needed a break. I'm sorry if that video seemed really lazy, but hopefully I can make it up to you with this review, where we get to look at two whole figures. I mean, we have to look at them together. There are two back. Today we are looking at Mastermind Creations' Reformatted series, Mnemo and Motif. Now, many of you may be thinking, what the hell are these two? Well, they are unofficial Transformers product. Some may call them bootleg, but yeah, bootleg, but I don't like to use that word when talking about these two. For me, personally, a bootleg product is usually made out of extremely bad, cheap materials, and they will often use molds from other companies and just reprint them. These two are newly designed figures made out of high-quality materials that just happen to use pre-existing designs that they don't own the rights to, but hey, who cares? If it can be $130, then it has to be good, right? For those of you not in the know, these two figures are based on the IDW Comics interpretation of the Transformers power couple Chromedome and Rewind. Mainly seen in the comic series Transformers More Than Meets the Eye by fanfic author turned star comic writer James Roberts and amazing robot artist Alex Milne. Now, these two are amazing in the book, one of my favorite parts of it. I love their designs, I love their characters, everything. If you don't want to be spoiled too much, go look up some stuff and come back to this video. If you want to learn more about these two, you could check out More Than Meets the Eye, issue 12. It's a great standalone story. It tells us about these two, it tells us of their storyline, it's great. I'll try to link a fan dub in the description if I remember. Go check it out. But also, support the official release. Go order it on, like, Amazon or something. I don't know. It's a bit of an old book. But we're not here to talk about comic books, we're here to talk about these figures. Who knows, maybe this is just my dumb attempt to get people way more talented than me to notice me, but yeah. Let's start looking at these two in their alternate modes. Chromedome and Rewind, we're gonna call them by their official names in this video because I don't care. The painting and sculpting on them are pretty great. You may notice that there is minimal paint on both. However, I think that's a good thing, since you're going to be expressly handsy and rough with these figures, even if you're being careful, compared to other action figures. You have to transform them, so you're going to have to mess with them a little bit. The minimal paint leads to minimal paint chipping. Some of the paint here does chip, but it mostly helps here that there's not much paint. Let's start with Rewind when going in depth, because he's the smaller of the two. If you can't tell, he is a vaguely rectangular shape. Now you may think that it's lazy, that he just turns into a rectangle. But don't worry, it's pretty accurate. He turns into an unusually large data stick in the comic. I guess this is a space version of a cassette tape. Unfortunately, if you transform it officially where the hands are out, it seems pretty gappy with the handholds. But you can swivel the hands as seen here when you transform it. And I did that here with this transformation. That just happened naturally. So just remember that when you are messing with it. You can obviously see his torso here, but I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be there as like a data disk. If you turn him around, you can see the little screw holes here, but they were made using paint to look like the holes on a cassette tape. I think that's a super smart design decision. I also love the way that the red etching kind of emulates the energy lines that Alex Milne put onto all of his art, you know, for robots. I think that just looks very neat. Sadly, overall, it's a bit rough looking as an alternate mode, but I don't mind too much. We'll get there later. Now let's look at Chromedome. Again, his car mode is a bit rough looking, but the general shape is accurate. It sure isn't an H-tank, but it sure is an H-car. I actually really love the shape as a space car. The front wheels are plastic, and there is a reason for it, but we'll get there later. The sculpting overall looks cool. I think the red paint and plastic is well done. I think it also matches very well, which is a good thing for plastic and paint to do, you know? I also really like the way that the hands are covered here. I think it's a bit rough, but it's a smart idea as well. I think the pylons here on the side also flow really well. It's a nice, like, round line. The back wheels are also cool. I think the yellow paint looks nice, and there's also a nice decal there on the side. However, the center here is the roughest part. Again, it is a bit gappy. Again, I don't mind too much, you know. The red also looks neat. I think the metallic blue looks even better, though. It looks freaking beautiful. If you look at the back, you can see the thrusters, which, if I'm not mistaken, are unintentionally Siege Blast Effect compatible because they are a bit big. It will be a bit loose, but they do fit. I don't have them on me right now, though, because this isn't a Siege review. But yeah, I think this vehicle mode looks sleek, even if it is a bit rough in the middle. However, it doesn't matter too much because it's a space vehicle. If we flip it over, then we just see a robot laying down. Oh gosh. So yeah, these alternate modes are kind of rough. However, they're pretty short, with Chromedome making up for it with being very long. Here they are with some Transformers, some Marvel Legends, some Power Rangers, some Kamen Riders, and finally, some representations of the More Than Meets the Eye cast that I have in my collection, including MMC's very own Coulter, their representation of Tarn, as well as some of my own hair. Oh no! Overall, these alt modes are kind of cool. They are rough around the edges, but they are neat. But they definitely are not the highlight for me. But we'll get there after the transformations, baby! Hi again. So, as per usual, transformations are going to be pretty improvised. So let's get Chromedome out of here. So we can do rewind first. You're going to want to start by coming to his bottom and popping off these shin covers, which will expose popping off a shin cover, which will expose the thigh. From there, you're going to want to move this arm bit up a little bit so that you can pop out the entire leg, have it go down, and then have it fold the lower leg down like so. From there, you're going to want to swivel the leg around, and then when you move to here, you're going to want to fold in this bit of the cover so it acts as kind of a heel. You're also going to want to fold inward the foot so that you can fold out the actual like foot bit and fold it back down. And then you're going to want to close up the lower leg, like so. And then from there, you're going to want to do the same thing on the other side. Moving up to the arms, you're going to want to fold them out like so, fold them down, and swivel them around so that you have the hand facing inward, like so. You're also going to want to do the same thing on the other side. Moving onward to the back, we're going to want to take this panel, fold it down, fold this out, and from there we get to do something that I haven't been able to naturally do in a transformation in a long time. A dramatic head reveal. It'll pop into place like so. Moving on the Chromedome, you're actually going to kind of want to start with the arms. So to start, you want to fold up these hand panels here, as well as unpeg these kind of long hexagons-ish shapes, you know? Yeah. Then you're going to want to move this out of the way so you can unpeg the arm like so. Then there's going to be a bit of confusing swiveling for the camera, but it makes sense when it's in hand. So you're going to want to first use the bicep swivel to swivel the hand around like so. Then you're going to use this kind of wrist cup to swivel that bit around only, and then you're going to just swivel around the hand so that it is in its proper place. From there, you're going to want to mess with these side bits. You fold the top bit down, and then you fold the bottom bit in, and then you fold it upward on its kind of double hinge into place, like so. From here, we want to mess with the shoulder pylons, where we fold this up. When we start, we'll need to unpeg the wheel from the thruster, so like so. It's a bit tough. And as you're folding this down, you're going to want to do another confusing process where you swivel the because there's two layers to the wheels. There's an inner bit and an outer bit. You're going to want to swivel the inner bit upward so that it lines up with this bit of the wheel, and then you peg in its platform like so, with a nice satisfying click. From there, we just finish up the upper arms, use the double hinge to fold the pylon in like so, and you fold that up, and there you have an arm. And you're going to want to do the same on the other side, so that you have two complete arms. From there, we're going to move on to the legs. So we're going to want to make sure the arms are out of the way for the sake of convenience. From there are two hinges, the knee hinge and this transformation hinge. You're going to want to use the transformation hinge so that you can line up the leg. And then you can also move the leg down for the sake of convenience. It's helpful, you know. From there, you're going to want to bend the knee bend for the sake of just making room. And then you're going to want to fold in the panel that covered up the arm originally over the thigh so that it covers up the entire thigh. From there, you want to swivel the thigh as you use the thigh swivel. And then you're going to move to the back of the leg. You're going to move the foot cover out of the way, which, depending on how tightly you have it on there, will be pretty difficult to not super difficult. I made sure it was kind of lightly on there for the sake of the transformation. You're going to want to unclip this hinge and fold it into its proper place, and then swivel around the foot. From there, make sure that this foot bit is fully unhinged, and you'll see a peg. From there, you're going to want to swivel around the wheel so that you can find the proper hole for it, and then lock it into place so that you make a proper foot. And from there, you fold out the heel spur, and that works surprisingly well. I was honestly pretty worried when I saw that was the system that they were going for with the leg. And once you have that done, you're going to want to do the same on the other side. From there, we're going to move on to the torso. So to start, I like to fold up these kind of chest bits, make sure they're all the way up, you know? From there, you're going to kind of want to unpeg the cockpit, which will allow this to hinge up as well, and then you swivel it all the way around in and fold it closed, like so. From there, we're going to start to reveal the head a little bit. However, you're going to want to make sure that this bit is unpegged from the crotch so that you can move it down to get out of the way of the head, as the head is going to be hinging outward, you know? While you're doing this, I like to swivel this around so that it's in its proper place for the back, as well as hinge this up for now. Hinge it back to where it was. From there, you move the head up, and then we swivel the head around for the dramatic head reveal. And then we hinge up this bit and make sure this square peg goes into that square hole, and bam, nice and clicked into place. From there, we do the Kanohii standard dramatic head reveal, and there we have the Mastermind Creations Chromedome and Rewind, all transformed. Now let's get back to the script. So as to be expected from MMC transformations, both of their transformations are simple, but they are quite effective. They are a fun time to transform, and it helps them out a lot. But now we're at their robot modes, where the painting and sculpting here is fantastic. Again, the paint is somewhat minimal, but where it is very effective, for the most part at least. Most of the sculpting is super effective as well, and really helps to convey who these characters are. Starting with Rewind, since he's smaller, he's probably my favorite looking of the two. Though that's not to say Chromedome is bad. The head looks amazing. All the paint is clean, though there is a small mark on the face on my copy. His vibrant blue eye shield looks really cool. And I love that they included the red dot on the side of his head for his camera. That's one of the defining traits of who he is. So it's great that it was included. The shape is also just right. It looks just like him. On the back of his head, while there is a big screw, there are also bits of silver paint here on the back that also look great. Moving on to the torso, I love the shaping of it. In the comic, he's always a bit wide, and this figure keeps that design idea in stride. Rewind is has sole bad guys levels of buff. But that is very Rewind. I love the gold on his chest, which I think just looks great. It's a beautiful gold. There's even this red lining around the gold, which really helps to define it super well. However, even where there isn't paint, there is tons of detail in the markings. I think that looks really cool here. The back is also accurate with this kind of long black bit here with the head panel. The circles here are also ingenious. But, again, we went over that earlier. I freaking love his shoulder pads. They are super long, but that's just how it is in the comic. I love to slightly angle them up just to add a little bit of expressiveness to his poses. I love the red lining on them as well, as it emulates the energy lines. The rest of the arms are very simple yet effective. I love how cubic they are, and the little bits of layering that are all over are just very nice looking. This also goes to the hands, as they are also very simple. The legs look cool here. I love the gray and silver on the hips. I think it adds a bit of color breakup that really helps the aesthetic. The interesting thigh sculpting really adds points of interest to the whole figure here. The lower legs get really big and chunky, which really looks good. I love that in robot designs. The silver looks great. It adds a bit of interest to the simple legs. The feet are also just simple small platformings, but the sculpting of it and all around, it really helps to make it look a lot cooler, especially with the silver paint. And if we look at his backside again, there is no kibble here. It's just freaking perfect looking. I think this is great. His back looks just like it does in the comic, except for the Autobot signal. But that would be illegal if they put it on there. Rewind is freaking great. And while Chromedome doesn't look as great, he still looks really good. From what I can tell, he seems to be based on his look from the first issue, which I believe is illustrated by Nick Roche rather than series regular Alex Milne, which leads to a bit more of a lanky-looking Chromedome. He is always lanky, but it's a bit more lanky. However, from prototypes, they made the head different. The head seems to be more Milne-esque. I think the sculpting catches that design near perfectly. I love the design with the wing ears, the faceplate, the mohawk, everything. However, the paint leaves a bit to be desired. Don't get me wrong, it's clean, it looks nice, but I think that the faceplate is a bit too yellow. It may have been the only kind of yellow paint that they had, given it's similar to the yellow paint on the wheels, but in order for it to fit the comic art better and not to blend into the gold eye part as much, I wish it had a bit more of an orange tinge. I also wish that they had covered up the screw on the back of his head, though that might be, and the back and on the back in general, but it's okay, you know. The torso looks way better. The red mercs look great, nice and clean. The brown round bits are really cool looking as well. The red bit in the center looks amazing. I love how the red paint matches the red plastic way better than it has any right to. I'm super surprised, you know? I also love the sculpting there in the center bit. All it needs is an Autobot symbol, but I still need to order the proper stickers to mess with it, the Mother Meets the Eye ones. The lower torso is a bit bumpy and knobby, but I think that looks fine, and the gray side bits adds to the car aesthetic a lot. The arms are kind of massive proportionally, and I kind of love it. The rocket bits on top, look really cool. They are an accurate design detail that I think works a lot in its favor. The wheels here add width to a lanky, thin figure that really helps the silhouette stay unique. The lower arms get a bit knobby again, but again, I don't mind too much. But they still look neat. I also really like the arm shields. They're accurate to the comic, and it's just very freaking nice, you know? And it's also a very satisfying shape, and in the transformation, they collapse down really well. Some might say these are kibble, but again, they are accurate to design, so they're supposed to be there, so I guess they're technically kibble, but they're accurate kibble, so I don't really consider it kibble that detracts from the look, you know? In my own sense. The hands are MMC's average open-closing hands, but I don't mind too much. The hip red here is very vibrant, and the knobs there are very unique looking. I also really like the panel lining on the hip parts that add just that little bit more definition to the design. The brown paint that connected here and here does chip a bit, but that's okay. It's not too big of a design bit, so it's fine. The thighs also fold down surprisingly well, and are a very satisfying shape, though they are a bit knobbly on the side. From the front, it looks very good, you know? I love the red knee pads. You know? They are nice and sharp, but the layered detail here on the side and in the front makes it look way more defined. I also think the reddish brown on the rest of the legs is a very nice color. That looks really close to his colors in the comic art. Like, wow. The rest of the legs are pretty simple until we get down to the feet. They are made of these covers and the front wheels of the car mode. I was honestly pretty concerned about that design decision as a figure, but they are super articulatable, and more at that, really stable. I was scared that he would just roll around, but the pegging stops that and keeps the feet very stable. It also helps the figure to look way more unique than a lot of my other figures, and distinguishes them from those other figures that I own. His back, again to beat a dead horse from Rewind, is really stupid clean. I like the curvy bits on the back of the arms. They're just a really nice bit. And this red bump on his back is really accurate. Again, leading me not to really call it kibble. However, it does need a bit of blue to be more accurate to the comic, though I get why it doesn't. Overall, other than some exposed screws, he has a super clean backside. All in all, these two fit together really well. And they are also great individual figures, looks-wise at least. However, here we get to go more in depth in an area that we don't usually get to look for at all in Transformers. Accessories. Rewind, he doesn't really come with much on his own. He only really gets a character card. However, it's really high quality, basically credit card material. It has a render of the figure on the front and stats on the back. Chromedome comes with significantly more. He doesn't have a weapon, but that's perfectly fine for him, since I don't really associate weapons with these two anyways. He also comes with a collector's character card. Render on the front, stats on the back, throw that to the side, get out of here, you know? It's communicator-based head. I'm not 100% sure where this is from. I'm not the biggest expert on the comic, but let me know in the comments if you know specifically where this communicator head is from. And you can put it on either by unscrewing the back of the head or by being a brute and just ripping the head off. And there should be a bit here, but it popped out. It can pop out like that sometimes. It must be somewhere in my room, but I'm too lazy to mess with that right now. However, he also comes with swappable hands. Despite these hands that he comes with out of the box being posable. But that's because of the crazy stuff the other hands do. Mainly, his Mnemo surgery hands. These are so cool. In the comics, he used these to access other bots' minds, to access their memories, including his own. This is a great accessory. And it really works for photos. And also, they're sharp. So be careful with them. He also comes with a single open hand accessory, which seems odd, except I think this is meant to go with their main joint accessory. A double hand-holding hand. It goes into both of their hand sockets and makes it so that they're holding hands. Man, that is cute. It is sadly a fully tan piece, despite Rewind's hands being white, and I've heard that this is an actual production mistake. But I don't mind too much. If need be, I can paint it, but it's fine. You don't notice it too much. So yeah, I think these guys come with a good amount of accessories, which seems to be a thing I've whined about a lot recently. This is how you do decent accessories, guys. It doesn't have to be a ton, it just has to be a lot of decent stuff that allows you to do decent photos and decent pictures, and allows you to get their expressiveness out a lot. You know? So far, these two have been some great figures. However, a figure isn't completely great without great articulation. Let's start with Rewind again. Rewind's head is on a ball joint, which allows for the full range of articulation, and is quite expressive. However, the transformation joint allows it extra range to hinge up and hinge down, like so. The shoulder pads hinge up and down, like so. They actually go up that far. The shoulders themselves can go all the way up and down, and the shoulder pads and the shoulders swivel with the arms a full 360. The arms are also on a butterfly joint, which allows them to go in and out a little bit. The bicep is also able to swivel. The elbow bends at, honestly, a bit of a weird angle. I don't really like it 100%. And the hand is on a ball joint that lets it do a full decent range, though not as much as like a full hinge or like, yeah. And it's also able to swivel. He has an ab crunch, which is freaking amazing to see, though it only goes forward. And he also has a full 360 waist swivel. He has universal style hips, which allow him to move forward all the way, backward all the way, and allows him to move out even further than all the way, allowing him to touch his fingies. And yeah, he has a thigh swivel, a little greater than 90-degree kind of double bend, but that's more so because you're using the transformation joint for a lot of it. And he also has an ankle pivot, which is great to see, as well as a toe bend thanks to the transformation joint. Moving over to Chromie, his head is also on a ball joint, though it doesn't have the transformation hinge, which allows it to do the full up, down expressiveness and a full swivel. Those ear wings are a bit sharp, so it's a bit annoying to move. His arms move out a little less than 90. However, they're able to do the full 360 around. His bicep is on a swivel, as per usual, and his hands are also on the same ball joint system, whereas a swivel ball joint. But he also has articulatable fingers, which I always love to see, and these fingers are MMC's usual fingers, which are on a trigger finger, 3-finger split, which is cool to see. Chromedome also has an ab crunch and a waist swivel, as was on Rewind. Ooh. His hip nubs are able to move up and down, while his actual hips are also universal joints, which gives him the full range out, forward, and backward, since he doesn't have a butt flap like a lot of other figures do. Chromedome has a thigh swivel, a single jointed knee that gets it a good bit past 90, though not the full 180, and from here he gets a bit weird. He's got a boot cut thanks to the transformation. He's got an ankle pivot here, like up here because of the way the foot is. It's also able to hinge forward and backward, and this bit is able to hinge forward and backward, so I guess it's a bit of a toe hinge. But, like, yeah, the feet are a bit weird, but that's because they have a weird design, you know? Yeah. So yeah, these two's posability is really good. It holds up to the Siege standard, which is what all Transformers should do now, but little bits like the hands and the ab crunches really add to the expressiveness of these two. They can do some great poses on their own, or get some great doubles photo shoots. I love that about these two. Finally, for size comparisons. Rewind is totally just a Legends, but feels like one of the small modern deluxes, you know, like Earthrise Cliff Jumper. Meanwhile, Chromedome is basically a leader class Chromedome, making him a bit big for my personal collection. Here they are with Transformers, Marvel Legends, Power Rangers, Kamen Riders, and Motif. Overall, I absolutely love these two. They have to go together, so it works that they're a two-pack. Both feel like both feel like fully feature figures. One isn't drawing budget from the other here, at least it doesn't feel that way. Both work on their own, but they work better as a couple. And unlike other MMC 2-packs, I think these are thoroughly worth the price. If you're a fan of these two, I definitely recommend you pick these up. But don't forget to let me know what you think of these figures in the comments below. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for me for more. And until then, I'll see you in the next review, where I don't know what I'm doing. And if there are any breaks in reviews within the next couple weeks, it's because I'm front-loading for something later. But yeah, until then, I'll see you later. Bye-bye!